Welcome to Adventures in Glass with Doug. We're going to try something a little different today. I thought, okay, it's a nice day. Let's go out and try to build one of these fountains outside on the deck. So I'm going to give that a try. We'll see how it works. You'll notice in the background I have two of my other fountains, and as long as they're getting direct sunlight, you're going to get a lot of splashing going on. Okay, so today we've got a couple of ingredients, if you will. I have the topper punch bowl I'm going to use. I have my color base that is going to have the fairy lights inside. Just remembered that I had kind of been carrying this around with some greasy fingers. Okay, and that's a find that I got recently at a Goodwill. I have what I really like here, a nice kind of rippled textured base for it that'll be nice and stable. And if it works, I've got a candle stand that it's going to go somewhere in between these pieces. And of course I've got my fairy lights, and inside I have one of the solar fountains similar to this one here that's going to float in the bowl. And the one extra thing we have today, because we're outside on my deck, is we have bug spray, which the mosquitoes seem to love me, so we've added that into the mix. Okay, so let's think this through. What I've just, since I'm going to be using this piece upside down on the base, and then probably putting my candle stand on that and the punch bowl above that, I think the sequence should be to start upside down with all of this. So I'm going to put my punch bowl on my turntable. Let me move a few things, give me some room. Okay, so we are going to go, think through here. I believe my concern is making these two pieces match without problems, and they don't appear to be exactly flush with each other for this, and I'm a little concerned about that. So what I'm going to do instead is take this piece, fasten it to the punch bowl base, then when that's dry, attach the vase, and I think I'll end up with a much more secure connection there, and I think it's going to be more interesting. And then on top, or what'll be the bottom, but on top for the assembly will be the other base, and we're going to have to make sure we put the fairy lights in there. I'm making this for my sister-in-law, who's a big fan of my glass work and is always happy to add another piece to her collection. Okay, I'm going to pause this for a second so I can get my silicone ready, and then we'll put a bead on that. I'm going to apply the silicone to the punch bowl because that's the surface that will be in contact with the candle stand, which, in case you're interested, was probably originally very expensive. It's from the Pampered Chef line. So, ooh, I think I paid probably $1.50 for it. work just fine. Again, I'm trying to get it level. Once this is all assembled and you put your water in the fountain, you're going to notice whether or not you got it level by where it is on the rim. But oh well, I think we've got it as level as we can. Next step was to put this piece on, but you know, I think what I'll do is let this half the assembly dry and work on getting the base plate on this with the fairy lights inside, and then we can match the two of those together, this surface and that surface, a little bit later. So let's do that assembly next. Alrighty. Time to play around with our fairy lights. I've mentioned in my other videos, and I have in the description, that these are solar powered, and they're great. This happens to be a smaller string. I think it's maybe only 50 lights. It's not telling me, but you can get them with more lights and a longer string, but this is usually a good amount. Okay, and what will happen is when you turn them on and it's at night, you're not going to notice it outside, but they will come on at night. Okay, so that's doing a little flashing for you, and you've got choices of how you want the pattern to flash. So I've got those in my other fountains too. They're really kind of a neat feature at night. Just automatically come on when it gets dark, and they go off when it gets light. Alright, actually that part of it, the only tricky part I find is, well, first of all, I found myself fighting with the copper wire before, but because it's all sort of like, have you ever played around with a slinky? Sometimes I feel like that's what I'm doing, is playing around with a slinky when I unfurl these. But my goal is to disperse these inside the vase so that they look as complete and as full as possible. And while this one's going to be interesting because I'm coming from the wire in the bottom, and I want to make sure that it goes all the way up to the top. Alright. I'm sure you've seen me do this before and struggle. Oh, as I was starting to say earlier, you can find the source of these in my description at no extra cost to you. If you purchase them through Amazon using my link, I get credit for it. And I don't know if I get a nickel out of the deal or not, but one day I hope to actually have enough credits to oh, I don't know, cover the cost of a tube of caulk or something. I don't know. It's something I'm trying. We're not sure where it'll go. In the past, I have put a glob of silicone in the base. Plan B. I can't reach all the way to the bottom. Where there's a will, there's a way. I'm going to try to get a nice glob of silicone. I think that will work. We really just want one of them, one part of the wire tacked on so it helps hold up some of it. Okay, that should do fine. That'll dry. Next step is to get a bead and put this piece on. I've got this centered up really good and I've got a nice seal. Let me take the camera over here to show you a little closer. You'll see that we have a nice, in this case we can see our seal. It's a nice seal. Yes, the wire goes through, and I may yet put another blob on the outside there just to make sure that stays sealed, but I think we're very good. Okay, we have to let some things dry, and we'll be back with the final assembly once these two halves have dried, which is going to be probably, I think I'll want to do it overnight just to be sure so they're good and sturdy. And then we will marry those two halves and everything will be cool. Let's see if we can, just for the fun of it, let's see if we've got yay. I don't know if you can see that in the camera right now, but we have light. Okay, we're waiting for our pieces to dry. We're going to end up with this piece going on top of that piece, and then the whole thing would be flipped over to operate. But I need to let the little silicone blob I have inside the vase to dry, the one that's holding some of the lights in place, and then I want to make sure this pedestal is dry before we attach them, and I want to make sure the base up here is good and dry so that nothing falls apart. And of course, as you can see out here, we've got our previous fountain going crazy, and this fountain I usually just leave it with the spouts pointing down so I don't lose as much water out of that. But you've seen me at least build that one on a previous video. I was not videoing when I made that one, my first fountain, but it certainly is fun. So there we have our latest solar fountain with fairy lights in the middle. We'll let this all dry and I'll try and get some final video of the lights at night and the fountain in the sunshine.